On today's episode of PDubs Arcade Loft, we're going to take a look at the basic edition of the iArcade arcade cabinet shipping this week to backers of the Kickstarter program. Were our pledges worth the investment? For those of you who are unfamiliar with iArcade, iArcade is a new player in the in-home arcade and gaming consumer market. They started a Kickstarter early this summer, and over 1,400 backers pledged $660,000 to bring this project to life. This is an arcade system where they're going to have 200 plus games licensed, and the amount of licensed games being added are added more and more daily. Jong is signing up more partners, and I can't wait to see where the future takes this particular product. We have a lot of great publishers who have already signed on board, such as Sega, and very excited to see what comes of this and what type of titles Jong can secure in the future. Now, those of you know that if you've been following my channel, check out the iArcade playlist on my channel. I did back this project. I was happy to pay for my own unit. I did order the Dragon's Lair bundle. While I'll wait for that premium bundle that I paid for to show up, CEO Jong Shin of iArcade did send me the standard edition of the cabinet, loaded with about 57 games for review for the channel. And although Jong and I are really good friends at this point, all gloves are off when it comes time for the review. For starters, this is a multicade, so the standard edition design is supposed to represent, as you can see here, the internet and globally connected power of what the iArcade brand is trying to accomplish, bringing retro, modern, and in-between games to the forefront of your arcade and gaming setup. The appeal of the standard design isn't going to appeal to everybody. A lot of arcade and gaming purists and enthusiasts are probably going to go for the Double Dragon edition as well as the Dragon's Lair edition, because those particular units will match and look fantastic in your in-home arcades, especially if you've been collecting 3/4 scale arcades. I think artwork on a cabinet is definitely going to come down to user preference, but I think a lot of folks are going to prefer the dedicated artwork designs over this. Although this is really, really cool from what they're trying to let you envision their vision is, it is going to stick out in your arcade and gaming room. It's not going to blend in as nicely along with all your other dedicated cabinets. But if it's a solo machine sitting by itself on a wall, it's going to look great. The cabinet will arrive in 2 boxes, one for the bar top and one for the base if you ordered the separate base. The base is a monster, and everything about this screams quality. The fact that this thing has got 3/4 inch MDF versus 1/2 inch MDF of their competitors, as well as all of the materials, the cam bolts, the locking mechanisms, everything just feels like you're getting what you're paying for. Also, compared to an arcade 1-up machine, for instance, you'll notice that when the bar top sits on top of the base, the controls are actually going to be a couple of inches taller than arcade 1-up units on risers, good for the tall folks. You do have a 19-inch screen versus a 17-inch screen that we've seen from other 3/4 scale units, which is really cool. The screen also is very beautiful and vibrant and does not wash out from multiple angles. It looks great. The unit is 19 inches wide, just like a lot of other 3/4 scale machines. The control deck is set up in a great way where everything is where it should be. Yes, you are missing trackball and spinner, so you're not able to really play those games on this cabinet, but you do have the options of playing a lot of cool modern games with the 6-button layout. The buttons themselves, in my opinion, are very good Sanwa clones. They're very clicky, as well as a Sanwa clone joystick in the standard edition cabinet. The premium bundles have premium actual Sanwa joysticks. You do have your menu pause, volume, start buttons, coin buttons, player 1, 2, start, and of course you have ABC, XYZ. You're just missing trackball and spinner to play those kind of games. If you've assembled IKEA furniture or 3/4 scale in-home arcade machine types before in the past, you're going to have no problem putting this whole thing together. And what's really cool is the genius design on the back of the cabinet. You have 3 access panels to access the top portion, which is the speaker, the middle portion, which is where your monitor and stuff and power supply go, as well as the bottom portion of the cabinet, the base of the base of the base. And what's really cool is they've added plenty of ventilation and wiring holes because this does have HDMI out. If you wanted to hook this up to a giant TV hanging in your arcade and gaming room and mirror your display, or use a capture card for live streaming your gameplay, everything is ready for you, easy and clean. I know a lot of folks like to mod, and taking a look at the inside of the base of the cabinet, as you can see here, you got a lot of room here. Could be a great place to put a subwoofer or something of that nature in the back bottom of the cabinet. Lots of room in here for you. I love not having to take off the entire back of the cabinet to access the cabinet. I love being able just to access the parts of the cabinet that I need to access. As you can see here, the top panel comes out. There's a nice little ridge with a slot plus 4 screws that hold it in. And the top panel, of course, holds the marquee as well as the speakers. As you can see, if you wanted to mod the speakers, which I don't even know why you would, the retail units that are shipping this week to folks all include 100-watt speakers. This particular demo unit has 80-watt speakers, so the speakers you have will look a little bit different than mine in this demo unit, and of course sound even louder. But yes, these 80-watt speakers give you definitely the experience. And from a modding perspective, with standard connectors like these, there are options for you. And as you can see here, due to the power of the speakers, they do require their own amp, which is included right here, a little amplifying board right there, to get you the best sound possible. And nice little Easter egg, Jong does include gigawatt sound pre-printed on the board. Nice little Easter egg there, made me smile when I saw it. And if you needed to access the middle of the cabinet, of course, you could just take off the middle piece, be careful of your wires, and you'll see here that the guts of the cabinet, the actual PCB board and stuff, are underneath the control deck in the front. But you do have to access and plug in all of your cables here. This does use kind of like a proprietary LVDS VGA type cable setup. And in fact, when you're assembling your unit, you only have 3 wires you need to plug in. You'll see from left to right, you do have the AC power jack coming in from your wall outlet that goes to power the entire thing. Then that's the little power splitter cable, powers the speakers as well as the monitor itself. You see it's plugged into the monitor there, as well as it runs up to the speakers up top. And then of course you have your connection to your monitor from your PCB board. And then of course that far right port, number 4, that's the optional HDMI out. I do have an HDMI cable plugged in here already. That way, as I travel the unit throughout the house, I'm able to hook this up to another monitor if desired, as well as I'll be live streaming lots of gameplay in the near future with a capture card so you guys get a great experience. Now your control deck is screwed in with 2 screws on the side. You'll notice too that in the corners there the tape is starting to peel, but because that's covered by the control deck, I'm not really worried about it. But again, opportunity for improvement. I hope that tape, that orange highlighted tape, doesn't peel any further. But yes, just remove those 2 screws and you can pull your control deck out, but make sure everything's unplugged and back before you do so. If you wanted to mod the existing controls in any way, the control deck box itself is attached to the control panel, all via 4 cam bolt locks that you have to unlock. Once you get those unlocked, you can separate this. Now, once you lift up the bottom of your control deck after you unlock the 4 cam locks, you'll have access to the joysticks and buttons as well as the PCB board. You will see that we do have a square gate on the joysticks, a nice clicky Sanwa clone. If you wanted to do anything here, I would recommend maybe adding a spring and maybe going with an octagonal gate, because this is a multicade, and octagonal gates, 8-way octagonal gates, seem to perform better on multicades due to the different kinds of games. You know, you want to play 4-way games, 8-way games. A square gate doesn't really cut it for me on multicades. And of course, due to the control deck box isn't that deep, I really wouldn't recommend putting in hat buttons or things like that. They just seem like you're going to be struggling to make everything fit. In all honesty, if you're going to do anything, you would want to swap out the existing Sanwa clones for real Sanwa clone buttons if you so desire. And of course, there's the PCB board. Before we zoom in on that, let's kind of take a look here at these connections again, give you guys a nice good look at them. That way you guys can kind of start planning your mods if you're planning on modding anything. But in my opinion, the buttons and the joysticks that come with the standard edition are just fine out of the box for a while. Might just need to change out those restrictor gates, maybe add a spring. But there you go, there's that custom PCB board. Now there's not a individual USB port or things like that to kind of, add your own games and stuff. iArcade seems to have done a good job of locking this thing down because, of course, their business model is the unit comes with 11 games, but we would love for you to have the ability to purchase and download and play hundreds of more titles, all legally legit, optimized, and ready to play on the system. You'll notice during the assembly process that the bezel itself you don't actually screw in. It actually slides into the slot, and then once you have your control deck installed and everything mounted and screwed in properly, the control deck actually holds the bezel in place. You don't need to screw it in or unscrew it or things like that. If you're ever going to play your arcade machine on the base, I highly recommend you use the provided 4 long bolts with nice little crosshair toppers on them to easily mount and twist and secure your arcade bar top to the base. Although the rubber feet are about 2 inches long, I would not play this on the base without it being screwed in for safety and security of your device as well as gamers. An opportunity for improvement for both my wife as well as iArcade. I asked her to dust off my machines and she didn't use a microfiber rag. But I'm actually kind of glad she did because it shows you how easily these bezels can be scratched, and in my opinion this is a bit too easy. I wish iArcade would go glass here instead of plastic. This is not good. Another opportunity for improvement for iArcade would be the marquee panel. Marquees need to light up, man. Whether they're real arcades or whether they're 3/4 in-home scale arcades, unfortunately this thing isn't going to match all your other lit arcade machines in your home. I'm really hoping Jong and his team can come up with maybe an accessory or some other option for us to add a light up marquee here. The user interface on here is really well done. You can see the recent games you played. You can check out all the games on your system. Again, this unit has 57 games versus the 11 games that come included. And then all of your games are going to be organized in different categories such as action, fighting, shooting, first-person shooter, arcade games, all that kind of stuff. Everything is going to be well organized, and every game has a nice little screenshot of each game on the menu. And of course, on the far right, you have the settings where you can adjust the Bluetooth, the brightness of the screen, all that kind of stuff. So for instance, I have connected a Bluetooth headset to this unit in the past. You could also adjust the brightness level to your comfort level. You can adjust the date and time. You can log into your iArcade account. This is the account you're going to use to log in and access games you purchase and download onto the system, as well as play multiplayer games online, such as Bomb Squad. You'll also be able to access the Wi-Fi to get online, to connect to your Wi-Fi network at home. This unit does not have Ethernet, it only has Wi-Fi. But it does have the Wi-Fi 5.0. And then, of course, is the storage feature, which you can use to manage your game lineup. From here, you can delete games you've installed. If you're running out of space, you could always reinstall them later. As you can see here, this thing has got 57 games, it's got 65 gigabytes of storage, and we still have 44 gigabytes of storage available. Remember, most of these retro games, they don't take up a lot of space. It's more the modern games are going to eat up space on your hard drive. Again, the basic bundle comes with the, 65 megabyte storage, and then 64 gigabyte storage, and then of course the premium editions, Dragon's Lair and Double Dragon and all that, those come with 128 gigabytes of internal storage. And of course, when you go to launch a game, a nice little control screen will pop up showing you how to play that game. Since this review's running a bit long, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few seconds of footage for each of the 11 included games, and then we're going to come back for some final thoughts.
Yeah!
Now, quick side note here for the game Twin Brats. Twin Brats, this game really requires a four-way restrictor gate, and with the square gate, it is so hard to get your moves in correctly, kind of like playing, you know, Pac-Man and stuff like that. Honestly, that octagonal gate is going to be necessary here to help you play this game. As it stands with the square gate, it's really not working great out of the box. Out of the included games, Dragon's Lair is obviously the headliner. Really cool that John got the license for this, as well as is making a Dragon's Lair bundle edition for everyone. This particular game does appear to be a PC version of Dragon's Lair that has been optimized for this particular system. It's definitely not the original arcade ROM. It's definitely what they call an iiRcade ROM, just like a lot of the other games are going to be customized and optimized to run on this platform. Taking a look here, you do have global leaderboards as well as local leaderboards, and the gameplay and everything works really, really well. I still think I could do better with an octagonal gate, and of course, it's just one of the greatest arcade games of all time. I mean, who doesn't like Dragon's Lair? And I really like this version on the iArcade. You have all kinds of options and things you can get into. It's super, super cool. You can add lives, you can turn the arrows on and off, as well as you do have the demo mode as well. When it comes to the demo mode, I noticed that I've had it twice happen to me where when it was on attract mode, this is the attract mode, that after about 30 minutes to an hour, the attract mode froze on me. So definitely something that I hope iArcade can review and see if there's anything they can do to fix that. Again, I am on a prototype machine, so I don't think I'm on the latest firmware either. Overall, I am super, super excited about my Dragon's Lair Premium Edition coming this week. I'll do a follow-up review for that, as well as I'll be doing a lot more content on the iArcade, the included games. We're going to be doing live streaming using capture cards and all that kinds of stuff. And of course, I think honestly that if you got it on the Kickstarter bundle and you got this beneath the MSRP, I think you're going to be very happy with your purchase. And of course, the App Store, with the ability to purchase more games than the 11 included, hundreds of more games, is going live very, very soon. Apologies for the extra long review. Wanted to get as much in as I possibly could. There'll be more videos coming. If you're interested, give us a thumbs up on the way out. Click that subscribe button and leave your comments and feedback below. Thanks as always, guys, for hanging out upstairs with us, and thank you for subscribing.